He drove a 10-year-old Camry with a cracked bumper, wore the same gray hoodie 3 days in a row, brought lunch from home in a plastic container that had clearly seen better years. His coworkers felt quietly sorry for him. He retired at 41 with $3.2 million in liquid assets. Nobody saw it coming. That is the point. We've been trained to read wealth the wrong way. We see the watch, the car, the vacation photos, the restaurant. We run the math on what we can observe, and we are almost always wrong. Not occasionally, not sometimes, but structurally wrong. The signals we use to detect wealth are precisely the signals that the genuinely wealthy have stopped sending. What you are about to hear is not a lecture about frugality. It is not a motivational speech disguised as analysis. It is a breakdown of a specific and documented behavioral pattern, one that separates people who are building real wealth from people who are performing it. And I will warn you now, by the end of this, you will look at someone you know differently. Maybe several people, maybe yourself. There are 10 signs. We are going to go through all of them, but the last one, sign 10, is the one that will genuinely unsettle you because it flips everything we say about financial success completely upside down. Hold that. Let me introduce you to a man I will call David Park. Not his real name, but his numbers are real, pulled from a case study published by a wealth management firm in 2021, analyzing high net worth individuals who were systematically under-identified by their social peers. David was a mid-level software engineer in Austin, Texas. Household income, $118,000 a year. Not spectacular, not poverty, somewhere in the comfortable middle of a comfortable city. His neighbors drove Teslas. His colleagues took international trips twice a year and posted about it. His brother-in-law just bought a boat. David looked, to anyone paying attention, like a man who was slightly losing the race. What nobody knew, not his coworkers, not most of his family, was that David had been quietly, methodically, almost robotically executing a financial strategy for 11 years. No drama, no announcements, no Instagram account called Journey to Fire, just a set of behaviors so consistent and so invisible that they registered to everyone around him as signs of financial struggle. He was not struggling, he was hunting, and the camouflage was part of the strategy. We'll come back to David, but first, let us talk about what those behaviors actually looked like, because you may have seen them in someone you know and misread every single one. Sign 1. They do not talk about money, not in the way people expect. There is a specific kind of money talk that fills every dinner party, every office break room, every family gathering. It is the talk of people who are financially anxious. Interest rates, mortgage stress, the price of groceries, whether the market is going to crash. Everyone participates. It is bonding through shared financial fear. Genuinely wealthy people are largely absent from this conversation, not because they are aloof, because it does not feel urgent to them. When your portfolio absorbs a rate hike without materially affecting your life, you stop tracking rate hikes the way other people do. What they do talk about, if you listen carefully, is systems, structures, how something is set up. They ask questions instead of making statements. They are curious where anxious people are certain. Sign 2. Their purchases make no sense on the surface. David drove the cracked bumper Camry, yes, but he also owned, outright, no mortgage, a small duplex in a neighborhood that nobody thought was interesting in 2017. He rented both units. The rental income covered his car insurance, his utilities, and his grocery bill. Every month. That duplex purchase looked, in 2017, like a weird and slightly depressing financial decision. By 2022, it had appreciated 61%. The boring decision was the wealth-building decision. This is the pattern. The wealthy are frequently spending on things that look dull, practical, or even embarrassing, and not spending on things that look impressive. Sign 3. They are surprisingly unknowledgeable about status brands. Ask someone who is performing wealth which watch brand has the best movement, which car lease terms are favorable, which neighborhood has the best restaurants. They will give you a detailed answer, fast. Ask someone who is genuinely building wealth. They will often give you a blank look followed by a shrug. Not because they are uninformed people, because the information simply never lodged. It was never relevant enough to retain. Status knowledge requires active investment. You have to care to know. The genuinely wealthy frequently just do not care. And that absence of caring can look, from the outside, like they can't afford to care. Let us pause here because I want you to hold three questions. Why do the genuinely wealthy avoid visibility? What are they actually protecting? And why does the financial system we live in actively punish people for trying to look poor? We are not going to answer those yet, but keep them. Sign 4. They have long timelines and no urgency. This one is almost diagnostic. People who are financially fragile live in a compressed timeline. Everything is this month, this quarter, whether we can make it work right now. The math of scarcity forces short-termism. Genuine wealth creates temporal expansion. The question is not whether to buy something, the question is whether to buy it now, in 5 years, or not at all. The luxury of that choice, the ability to sit on a decision for years without anxiety, is itself a form of wealth that has no visible symbol. David did not buy the duplex quickly. He looked at property in Austin for 3 years before he purchased. 3 years. His colleagues who were building wealth were flipping into crypto with 2 days of research. He waited, watched, and struck once. Sign 5. Their net worth and their lifestyle are dramatically misaligned in the quiet direction. The Federal Reserve's Survey of Consumer Finances, run every 3 years, most recent cycle completed in 2023, consistently shows that a substantial portion of Americans with net worth above $1 million do not live in ways that signal that number. Their homes are modest relative to income, their cars are older than average, their vacations are infrequent or domestic. Meanwhile, the visible wealth class, the people who look rich, are disproportionately leveraged. They own the things they display. The bank technically owns most of them. The data on this is not subtle. In a 2022 analysis by Ramsey Solutions, not exactly a radical financial research outfit, 80% of millionaires in their survey reported living in houses worth less than half what they could theoretically afford. Less than half. They are not suffering, they are banking the difference. Sign 6. They are intensely, almost awkwardly boring about finance. No hot takes, no crypto conviction, no precious metals conspiracy, no "I've been watching the Fed and I think" monologues. Boring. Index funds maybe, real estate maybe, dividend stocks held for a decade. Strategies so dull they barely qualify as strategies, the kind of portfolio that makes a conversation end in 3 minutes. The financial media ecosystem runs on urgency and novelty. It needs you to believe that yesterday's insight is stale and today's insight requires immediate action. The genuinely wealthy have tuned this out, not because they are anti-intellectual, but because the data on long-term boring investing versus active exciting investing is so one-sided it's stopped being interesting. From 1993 to 2023, over 15-year rolling periods, more than 93% of actively managed large-cap funds underperformed the S&P 500. 93%. The boring people win. They just look like they're losing the whole time they're doing it. We're about 6 minutes in. We haven't gotten to signs 7 through 10 yet. Sign 8 is the one that will make you rethink a specific person in your life. Stay with me. Sign 7. They are difficult to sell to. High earners with low financial intelligence are extraordinarily profitable customers. Luxury brands, premium car leases, high-fee financial advisors, lifestyle subscriptions. All of these depend on a specific buyer, someone who earns well, feels the need to project status, and does not do the math on total cost of ownership. Genuinely wealthy people, particularly self-made wealthy people, are often infuriating to sell to. They ask slow, inconvenient questions. They walk away easily. They are not performing anything in the purchase moment, so there is no ego available to leverage. Sales psychology barely touches them. This makes them look to salespeople like people who cannot afford the product. Sometimes they get worse service because of it. The customer who will buy without flinching gets the better table, the warmer greeting, the assumption of capability. The actual high net worth individual in the worn hoodie asking annoying questions gets treated like a maybe. David told the story of trying to buy a car, a used car, cash, and being steered repeatedly toward financing options. The salesperson spent 40 minutes trying to restructure a purchase into a payment plan because a payment plan looked like a David who needed help. A cash purchase looked like someone who had made a mistake. Sign 8. They have already solved problems you were still worried about. Here is the one that quietly rearranges things. There's a particular kind of financial peace that reads from the outside as apathy or disconnection. The person who is not anxious about their job because losing it would not materially harm them for at least 2 years. The person who is not stressed about their rent because they own the building. The person who does not check their investment account after a bad market week because the timeline makes the bad week irrelevant. This is not performance of calm. It is structural calm. They have already done the work that produces it, and it looks to everyone around them like they do not understand how serious things are. They understand perfectly. They just prepared earlier. When the 2020 market crashed 34% in 33 days, the fastest collapse in recorded history, the financially prepared were the ones who looked the least alarmed. Not because they weren't watching, because they had positioned for it, even if they couldn't have told you exactly when it was coming. The people who looked alarmed were the ones performing wealth, who suddenly discovered how thin the performance was. Sign 9. Their social circle is quieter than their income would suggest. This is subtle and slightly uncomfortable. Genuine wealth, over time, tends to produce a social contraction, not isolation, contraction. The social dynamics around visible wealth are exhausting in specific ways. The requests, the assumptions, the subtle resentments, the people who recalibrate how they see you the moment they learn a number. People who have built quietly tend to stay quiet. They don't announce, they don't post, their social footprint is smaller than their financial footprint. This makes them look, in the age of financial social media, like they are not doing particularly well. They're fine, they just stopped performing for an audience. Sign 10, the one I told you to hold. This one is structural. It's the thing that the whole financial system gets backward, that we get backward, and that takes a long time to fully see. Genuine wealth, the durable kind, the multi-generational kind, is built by people who have learned to want less than they earn. Not dramatically less, not performatively less, just consistently, quietly, persistently less. And here's where it gets dark. The entire consumer economy, not just luxury goods, but the scaffolding of modern financial life, the credit industry, the subscription economy, the upgrade cycle, is optimized to prevent this. The entire system benefits when your desires expand at the same rate as your income. Every raise absorbed by a lifestyle upgrade is a raise that does not compound. Every status purchase is a compounding event that happens somewhere else, in the portfolio of someone who made the product, in the balance sheet of the bank that financed it. The people who look broke because they're not spending, the system has not captured them, and the system does not like it. This is not a conspiracy, it's just incentive structure doing what incentive structures do. The profitable customer is the one who believes comfort and status are the same thing. The unprofitable customer, the one building wealth quietly, has separated those two concepts and is living in the gap. David Park sold his duplex in 2023, added to existing assets, hit a number he had been targeting for 11 years, told 3 people, kept the Camry. He's not on social media talking about it. He never will be. Which means the only signals you ever had, the worn hoodie, the packed lunch, the 10-year-old car, told you exactly the wrong story. Here's what I want to leave you with. The signs of genuine wealth have been hiding in plain sight for decades. They're invisible because we are looking for the wrong things, and because the genuinely wealthy have every incentive to let us keep looking for the wrong things. The less visible they are, the less noise around them, the more cleanly the strategy works. So the question is not whether you know someone like this, you almost certainly do. The question is, what story are you telling about them? And while you're sitting with that, ask yourself what story the people in your life are telling about you, and whether it's the story you actually want them to tell.